Ivana, welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Great. Such dedication. You were up at 5 a.m. We had a bit of confusion with the time, and thank you for being here so early in the morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. Yeah, I couldn't sleep anyway. So,
You're that excited, right?
yeah, I was that excited.
I love that. We are connected through a mutual friend, Jonathan Darling. I understand you're from the same part of the world. I'd love to hear a little bit about your story, a little bit about your background.
So about my story, I'm a Christ follower first and foremost. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner, and just quite recently starting to be a speaker.
Mm.
That's new.
It's great, and I'm really glad that we get to use this platform to bring that out of you. A lot of what I talk about here is about helping people bring their heart work to the world. And I think a couple of months ago I saw your t-shirt brand, the Be the Positive brand, and I got myself a couple of those. And I really kind of love what you're doing with Be the Positive. Like, talk to us about Be the Positive. What is it? What does it stand for?
So I like to call it a positive apparel brand. I don't know if anyone else uses that term, but that's what I've started calling it. And basically, there's a message that needs to get out there, and that's to encourage people intentionally. And I started a t-shirt brand because I've actually always wanted to own a t-shirt brand since I was 10 years old. And I was basically one day as an adult told I was too positive and among other things, too happy, too energetic, too positive. And I originally started it just because, well, if you think I'm too positive, watch me take this somewhere and do something with it. But it has turned into something so much deeper through the journey, that now it is an anti-bullying and suicide prevention awareness line. So everything is encouraging, which is a different kind of brand than what is out there right now. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Do you have a favorite one?
A favorite one. Oh my
I know that's
goodness.
like trying to choose your children, right? It's probably an unfair question.
Okay, so I have one that I'm getting ready to come out with that was actually my very first t-shirt design in my head, my very first saying, and it's an original saying, and it's "Don't clip your wings to fit in the box."
Mm. Mm. And is that
Yeah.
something you first and foremost had to put in your own heart?
Yes. Yes. When I was told that I was not enough and that I was too much, I
Sure.
just kind of remember talking to my husband and I just blurted out, I was like, I'm not going to clip my wings to fit in their box. And that just became my mantra and what I live for, which is, mismatched Converse shoes,
Yeah,
t-shirts, just doing my own thing and not clipping my wings to fit in anyone's box.
I love that. And it's really powerful, isn't it? When someone else buys one of your shirts, it's about what it then means to them. And I bought not only your logo, because my daughter loves bees, but I bought the one that just simply says "You matter," and I really like. I really love that because it relates to kind of my heart, my purpose. Because everything I try and do is to help people feel like they matter, people feel like they belong, and that they can contribute. So you're enabling me through your t-shirts to go out and be a light in my own kind of community through the power of just that simple creation.
Yeah.
Is where's your heart tethered to? Like you talked about this experience of being told you're too much, but I know that the story is deeper than that.
It is. It's a lot deeper. Short story. Basically, I had a rough childhood growing up. I had a mom that was mentally ill. She had multiple personalities. So I like to say that I was raised by 14 different parents.
Mm.
Her, my dad, and her 12 personalities. So childhood was very sporadic, and I look back now and it makes sense, but as a kid, it did not make sense. And then as a teenager, and I just realized this the other day in like a self-discovery, I was I was sexually abused.
Mhm.
I didn't realize that's what it was called. I didn't realize that it had a name, but according to some people that I've talked to and really sharing my story, they're like, girl, you need to not minimize it. This has happened to you and this is not okay. Forgiven that person, forgiven a lot of people, but it caused a lot of anxiety, depression, things like that in life. And just different things that I should, for all intents and purposes, be a very negative, hateful, hurtful person.
Sure.
And through God's love and God's joy that he gives me, that I do not attribute to anything else but him, I'm able to share his love and his light with people instead of keeping it for myself, and just share my story. And that's part of the brand, is sharing the story. But yeah, there's a lot a lot more to it,
Of course.
but yeah, that's the gist of the childhood.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for going there. And I know that, you know, things are good with your mum, and you've got a healed relationship, and you have permission to share this story. But we're talking about probably, you know, a good 20 plus years of time frame in that story that you've just shared. And I think, you know, with your permission, I'd love to kind of unpick some of the impact that that's had, and maybe some of the steps, because, you know, you talk about God's love and you talk about the healing and the transformation. Are there pivotal moments along the journey that you know have led you to this state of healing and being able to share that story?
Yeah, there's you know, I talked about my childhood, but there's some other things. I've been homeless. I was in the military for a little while. I used to look at it as, it happened. I don't really talk about it, but I did sign the paper. I did say that I would join, and I did sign my life away, as some people say. But it was not meant to be. I got to go to boot camp. I graduated, and then they discharged me for something that they didn't check to see if I had. So, and then shortly after, I met my husband, and oh my gosh, I could literally do an entire podcast about him. But he taught me how to love, how to be loved, how to love someone, how to not like someone, but still love them. Which was an interesting concept to me, considering everything I'd been through. I thought you either had to hate them or love them. There was no in between. And then just becoming a mom and a wife, and realizing that there's so much in life that I didn't realize when I was younger. Like, you know, you look for something when you're younger, and you dream of things. And I didn't have a dream when I met my husband. I was just living for day to day. I was just trying to pay my bills. And he helped me learn how to dream. And now I dream every day, all the time, about everything.
I love that. And it's Scott, isn't it? Your husband's called Scott. Shout out Scott. What a man. What a heart. And I love hearing, you know, loving men, you know, God loving, big hearted men. Like, it's something so powerful, and I love the way that you speak with such a smile on your face about him, and that's amazing. And, you know, I come from a background where my childhood was, I can't say it was bad, but there was definitely mini trauma with a small t that has left me, you know, with consequences, both good and bad. And I know that that's a lifetime of trying to understand what it's given me rather than taken away from me. And I guess, how have you come to that sense of compassion and forgiveness and healing? Like, can you break that down? Can you understand parts of what's helped you do that?
So, one of the things obviously is God. Also, not minimizing what happened. Another thing that happened that I kind of tell my story in different ways. I don't have like a seal of how I say it, but I was in an abusive relationship before I met my husband. So it's just kind of realizing that by the time that happened, I literally forgave that person right away, because I had so much hate
Hmm.
in my heart for my family leaving me, my mom and my dad getting divorced, my sisters going God knows where. I literally didn't know where they were.
Hmm.
When I met my husband, it was funny because he goes, how's your family? Where's your family? Brothers, sisters? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing because he comes from this huge family where everyone knows where everyone is.
Yeah.
But when that happened with that individual, I just forgave him right away. It was
Mm.
really weird. I did not go back, but that started the process of realizing that I can set myself free and forgive something that would normally be unforgivable. And then I went through these steps called Freedom in Christ at my church.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, it gets you down to like the person that hurts you the most in your entire life, which took me a long time to even say,
Mm.
to like the person that cut you off in traffic.
Mhm.
So I went through that process and it was hard. It took
Yeah.
a long time, but I just realized that forgiveness is so important and it sets you free.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't set them free from their deed, it doesn't excuse what they did, but it sets you free from the pain.
Mm.
And so I try to teach my kids that. I try to teach anyone I come in contact with. They're just like, why are you always so happy? I'm like, one, God, two, he gives me joy, and three, I've forgiven like everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And for my listeners that maybe aren't of a faith, they hear the word God, and like, without, of course we're not religious, we're loving human beings walking in faith in God. But what when you say the word God, what does that really mean? Like, because for some it'll be a place in a building, and for some it'll be a book, and for some it'll be community and spirit. And what does it really mean to you to say the word God and point to Him as your um, source of healing and transformation?
Oh, goodness. My father,
Hmm.
um, just loving, good provider, um, a tapestry weaver. I see him kind of weaving a tapestry that no one understands.
Hmm.
Um, and each little thread is a piece in your life that you may not understand, but it could be connected to this all the way over here. And I view my life like that. Everything that happens for a reason. And that he's just doing something with a story so much bigger than us.
We had a cool little moment last week, didn't we? Do you want to share that?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how much part of my story that is.
Yeah.
God has been doing amazing things. I'm almost ready to share, but this part was incredible. I was literally making a design and I had it in my head. I was like, you know what? You should post this on Facebook and see if anybody wants it. Because I've been doing my business a little differently. I've been doing a POD like what you ordered from, but I want to bring it in-house.
Hmm.
I want to make it a part of me and be able to share a part of me with people.
Hmm.
And I was sitting there going, I should do that. And then this little voice was like, no, don't do that. Don't worry about it. And I
Yeah.
kid you not, I get a random message from you and it's 9 seconds long. And it just says, hey, hope you're having a great day. If you have something on your head and on your heart, just do it. It's there for a reason. Have a great day, my friend. And I literally started shaking.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm shaking now. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, if that's not like, God knows that sometimes he can whisper and then sometimes it's a 2x4 upside the head and it's just pay attention. And that was just a little of both. And I just was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And I did it and I posted and I had orders come in and people that commented and said that it spoke to them. And it started this whole process that he has just been blessing and causing things to happen. And just, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I can't wait to share the entire story, but it is amazing.
That's it. And if there are people out there listening to this, they go, well, that's such a vague thing for him to say. Like, yeah, you're right. It could be complete coincidence. I choose not to believe in coincidences. I'm starting to learn that there are no such thing as coincidences. But you wouldn't be fooled for thinking that. I can see how on the surface. But here's the thing I've started to walk in. I open up my Facebook Messenger. I spend a fair bit of time on social media. And at the top of my phone, you get these little circles that say, you know, and I have like 3,500 people on my Facebook. And I've started to think, why these four faces? I'm like, why these four faces? And you kept coming up, and I was like, before I know it, I pushed your face and I started doing a voice note. I don't know what I said. This is the honest truth. I'm like, nah, have a good friend, have a good day, my friend. And then like the whole point in all of this is that A, the punchline is we'll never truly know in this lifetime. And B, the real impact is about the way you've just given meaning to it. Because it just shifts souls, it shifts spirits. And I think, that's the true, being able to take it in your heart and walk with it.
Yep.
That's what it means to have faith, is having this peace and comfort and trust in the unseen.
Yes.
And I love the way that it's just sparked something in you. And look at what good's come of it.
Oh, you have no idea. Miracles and just things, and oh my goodness, it's insane. I literally can't wait to share what it has created just from just you listening to that prompting. That is so important, and being intentionally encouraging, which is what I say to people. Like, I'm shaking.
It's so good. So for those that are on the video as the podcast, you won't be able to see this, but if you're watching the video, if you just show us your top that you're wearing, be positive. Love that. What's the symbology of the bee? Is there anything in that you particularly connect with, relate to?
So when I created it, it was just playing with the words, but I looked up bees, and did you know that it is actually aerodynamically impossible for a bee to fly? Like, they're not supposed to be able to do it because they're little fuzzy bodies, and they got little wings. And so when I started thinking about that, I was like, I am doing the impossible.
Oh, yeah.
And
go on.
It just came together. And it's so funny because I created the logo, and then I added like on the part that says the, if you can see it, it's tilted to one side. And that's because when people say, say cheese, I go, cheese. So, which I'm tilting if anyone can't see me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I added the symbology to it. And it has become literally what I live. And it's hilarious. My daughter, when she was 3 or 4 years old, knew my website, like the whole thing. And my kids give out my business cards. It's
nice.
School.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. Proper family business.
Yep.
I'd love to go to a place, if you're willing, is just to understand healing from childhood trauma. You've talked about having a mum with multiple personalities. There'll be people listening that either know someone or maybe themselves has experienced some form of trauma. In how did you begin to make sense of it? Because so often when we're a kid, I guess we assume that we are the, so often feels personal as the child, and then there's something about having empathy for a parent that is so healing. And I'd just love to know if what is it for you that's helped with that?
So a lot of things. Another part of, I'm giving you bits and pieces of my story instead of the whole thing. Another part of my story is because my mom was mentally ill, she didn't feel like she could mother us very well, and she actually gave us to a family. And I thankfully do not remember things, but I have been told that I had the markers of someone that had some trauma happen to them. So I went through that forgiveness, the freedom in Christ, and she was she was one of the first names on the list
Sure.
because of her, you know, my ex stepdad and this family and just a lot of things. She used to have a very, now she's got God and she doesn't think this way anymore, and she's a phenomenal woman.
Mm,
And her story tells its own thing, but she used to have a very skewed way of viewing the world and a very victimized way, and
mhm.
well, this has happened to me already, so I
Yeah.
might as well just go with it. And I didn't want to live that way. um but really forgiving, and then just, I guess, starting over, um realizing that she didn't mean to.
Mm.
And honestly, it's literally just, it's all God, because I look at people in our lives, you know, my two sisters, they do not have God, and they cannot seem to forgive her and move forward.
Mm.
And I love them, and it's okay if they ever hear this. I love you. It's okay. But I feel like that is something that has made a difference in the
Mm.
fact that I just start fresh and we talk every day just about, and God has just breathed life into it.
Yeah, and I'm not up on my scripture, but I'm sure there are multiple references to the first thing that accepting God into your life is that it softens your heart.
Yep.
Softens your heart. Powerful testament, my friend. Um, what does it mean to you to be the positive?
To be intentionally encouraging to others around me, to
Mm.
be the positive for someone else when they
Yeah.
may not have it inside themselves to do it.
Mm. Where can people find your work and your creation?
So I'm on Facebook under Be the Positive, Instagram, Be the Positive. I just joined Twitter. We'll see how that goes. And then I have a website, Be the Positive with two E's, like a little bumblebee, .com.
Yep.
And they can check it out. And I'm getting ready to revamp some things to add the new products that I've just created. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping to have that out by the time this is out.
Amazing. I will share all the links in the show notes so that people can go and check that out straight away. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for coming on the show really, really early. I'd love to know from your perspective, what does the phrase "always better than yesterday" mean to you?
Oh goodness, so much. I heard somewhere one day that it was this kid and he was talking about how you can be successful. And it was to get better at, and he named off like 7 different things, but to just be a better person, to view yourself better, to to forgive, to just move forward, to
Mm,
not stay behind. Something I heard last night at a sermon was, you know, you may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you used to be.
mm,
Always better.
love that. My friend, thank you so much for your time. It'd be honored if you'd leave us with a final thought from your good self.
Okay, I'll say something about faith. Um, if you're praying for something and you're waiting for a miracle, it says in the Bible that you can have the faith of a mustard seed.
Hmm.
So make it a loud mustard seed. Declare it, speak about it like it's already happened, talk about it like he's already doing it, and you will be amazed at what happens.
Let's go. Thank you so much, my friend.